You must have wondered what's the difference between two very similar terminologies. For example, Irfan and Sufism. You must have heard the terms Irfan and Sufism quite a bit, both translated in English as mysticism. However, there's quite a difference between the two. There are some scholars from the school of the Ahlul Bayt that have used the word Sufism, and this has caused some confusion. So I'd like to mention a few differences between Irfan and Sufism. The first and major difference, the foundationary difference between the two, is that those who traverse this journey of mysticism understood by the school of the Ahlul Bayt followed the teachings and the guidance presented to them in the Quran and Hadith of the Ahlul Bayt alone. These two provide their journey, their path, and their understanding of how to traverse and get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the other hand, you find some schools, especially of Sufism, agree to take traditions and teachings from the companions of the Holy Prophet. However, that restriction that is placed in Irfan is simply to adhere to the path of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. We can split Irfan into two, amali and nadari, practical and theoretical. When an individual studies theoretical mysticism or theoretical Irfan, they study how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the essence of everything, that it is in reality only His existence which exists. They also look at His names and understand that everything around us in creation is simply a manifestation of His most beautiful names. When it comes to practical mysticism or Irfan, an individual tends to take the assistance of a teacher who has already traversed this path. They then understand how to inculcate and personify the names of Allah within them. They look at how to purify their own soul, go over different vices and removing them from their nafs, as well as adorning themselves with different virtues so that they too can become what is known as insanul kamil, or a perfect human being. Something that is of great importance to remember as well is that anybody who gets closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala must abide by His laws and prescriptions. It is not possible that somebody traverses this path of purification yet goes beyond the boundaries that Allah has laid down when it comes to our jurisprudence. You'll find that the closer somebody gets to God, the more they uphold their wajibat, their obligatory actions, and stay away from that which has been prohibited. They even stay away from that which is makruh or brings about the displeasure of God, and try and act upon all those minute actions which bring about the pleasure of God. Some may have understood mysticism or Irfan to be a journey where an individual has to isolate themselves from the community, to become a hermit in the mountains, but this couldn't be further away from the truth. The closest man to God, the Holy Prophet, lived a social life, had children, had a family, worked as well. A man once came to the sixth holy Imam and asks the Imam that he desires the world, he desires the dunya. So the Imam asks him, what do you want to do with this dunya, this world that you're seeking? What do you want to do from it? The man says that I'd like to obtain the dunya in order to give back to my family, to bring about relationships with my extended family, to go for Hajj, to go for Umrah, to give charity to the poor. The sixth holy Imam replies and says, this is not dunya, this is you seeking the akhirah and the next life. Now I would like to come to the difference between Sufism and Irfan. Having understood what Irfan is based on, Sufism is quite different. When it comes to the teachings of Sufism, you also find that a teacher is mandatory, where individuals who ascribe to this path surrender themselves to their teacher, admit themselves to their teacher, and whatever prescription the teacher gives them, they must act upon it in order to get closer to God. Here is a great difference, because within the madrasa and the school of the Ahlul Bayt, we never surrender our intellect to any fallible individual. We will only give up our intellect either to God or to a divine prescription that has come from the Imams alayhimus salam. Some have also said that a Sufi should be an individual who is like a dead body between the hands of the one who is washing it. That the teacher can move this individual, change this individual's direction in life, just like an individual who is washing a dead body moves the body around. Those who are in line with Irfan and the path of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam disagree with this understanding. Finally, once again, the sharia is of utmost importance, and unfortunately, from history it can be seen that some people who traverse the path of Sufism tend to go outside and step outside of the boundary of the sharia in the actions which they do. An example that tends to be given is that some Sufis, not all, but some tend to leave out the daily prayers because they believe there are other methods in which they can attain that closeness of God at those prescribed times. However, for the lovers of the Ahlul Bayt, we follow the Ahlul Bayt in every step that they took. They were individuals who held the law of God at the utmost degree, and that's what we do to our final breath.